And we begin this hour in Italy. The coffin containing the body of Pope Francis is now being transferred from Casa Santa Marta, that's his official residence, to St. Peter's Basilica. Upon arrival there, the church's Cardinal Joseph Farrell presiding over the Liturgy of the Word, with the public being given an opportunity later on to actually view the Pope's body. All of this is taking place as another Mass is also held, of course, in Johannesburg in remembrance of the Pope. But let's take you to the St. Peter's Basilica. These are live visuals, and you can see just at the center of that particular cathedral is the very simple coffin carrying the Pope. And in fact, there was a very solemn procession leading up to this moment where he's expected to lie in state for the next couple of days. Thousands of pilgrims typically come from all over the world to view him as he lies there. And this, of course, in preparation for his funeral on Saturday and ultimately the election of a new pope a couple of days later. Let's just listen in just for a while as the cardinals, the bishops and the priests join in unison in this moment of unity and solemnity for the faithful.
Exaudi nos Deus salutaris noster, una cum omnibus sanctis te deprecantes, et animam famulum tuo Pape nostri Francisci, qui ecclesia orationes es confisus, electorum tuorum iunge consortio, per Christum Dominum nostrum.
Once again, live visuals coming to you from the St. Peter's Basilica, where you can see the hierarchy of the church really in full display there, as many of those who are gathered there involves cardinals, priests, archbishops from all over the world gather for what presumably is Holy Mass, which is essentially the service that precedes the lying in state of the late Pontiff, Pope Francis, of course, passing away on Easter Monday at the age of 88. He's likely to lie in state for about 3 odd days. And that's when, of course, we anticipate that there's going to be a funeral service that is going to be attended by world leaders from, quite frankly, all over. As I mentioned earlier, already there's been confirmation from the White House that US President Donald Trump, as well as the First Lady Melania, will also be in attendance. And the funeral of the Pope is typically really watched with keen interest because it really marks a unique moment for the world. I think there are very few other events where a number of heads of states will all be present at one time. You know, I remember Pope John Paul II, that's 2 popes before this one, if you like. A lot of the commentary at the time was certainly around just how many presidents had been there. And in fact, we anticipate that there's going to be a very similar commentary this time around, given just already how many presidents and heads of state had lauded this particular pontiff for his, let's call it perhaps, unconventional ways as he led the Catholic Church through a global health crisis and at a time when, quite frankly, there's active war in different parts of the world, 3 continents dealing with really a lot of, harm to humanity, for lack of a better term. Whilst all of that is taking place at St. Peter's Basilica, live visuals on the left-hand side of your screen. On the right, of course, is another Mass that's being held closer to home at the Christ the King Cathedral in Johannesburg. If you like, it really is the main artillery point for Catholics in Southern Africa, and I suppose most specifically in South Africa. And it's a Mass that's been presided over there in remembrance of the Pope by Archbishop Stephen Brislin. We were told that immediately after he's done presiding over that particular service in Johannesburg, he's being whisked away onto a plane so he too can join many of his counterparts from around the world, many of the other bishops who are going to be gathered in Rome for the next couple of weeks. In fact, Archbishop Brislin is going to be amongst the College of Cardinals who are going to essentially have to deliberate on who is best placed to lead this church, which amasses the following of about 1.4 billion congregants around the world, into the next chapter of its existence. It's certainly a historic moment unfolding, no matter where you are in your understanding of the church, and certainly how you feel about the Catholic faith, because of just how often, or rather because of just how seldom something like this takes place. It's not often that we see the passing of a pope, and we watch quite literally as a very choreographed tradition steeped in history unfold right before our eyes. We watching all of this with all its spectacular as it unfolds.